Hi guys, welcome to Thrustzone.com. This is Mohit Soni, and if you're wondering what are we doing with the Tata Tiago, which was launched a couple of years ago, is because we've driven the car earlier in petrol, in diesel, and in the petrol automatic guys, and Tata decided to give us a long-term car. So to really get to know what the car is all about, obviously spending a week or two is fine, but spending more time with it definitely allows us more. Allows us to have more insight about the car on and how the car is actually like to live with on a daily basis. How's the service like? How's obviously 3-4 we've spent 4 months with it, and it has gone to the service station where we've dealt with Tata Motors service team and sales advisors and everybody. So that gives us a better picture of what living with the new Tata vehicles is like. The Tiago, as we know, it's a success model for Tata Motors. It's done extremely well for the company. It's been doing Maruti level of numbers for them, and I'm sure everybody is happy about that, despite the fact that there is buzz in the market that Tata is not making much money on every new Tata car they sell, but they've been selling a lot. So I think that's where the plus point is. There's a lot of Tata Tiagos on the road. You've seen it already. So I'll just briefly tell you what the car is like in terms of design. We like the new we like the alloy wheels. This is the XZ variant. As you know, the XZ plus variant is here. This is the XZ variant, so it gets these diamond not diamond cut alloy wheels, normal alloy wheels. That's the very talked about front grille, extremely well done. The lower part and the upper part, along with these almond shaped headlamps, which is kind of reminiscent to every other hatchback that has been sold in the country and even around the world. That's the side profile. I think this is the best part, where it looks like a truly international hatchback with the way the cuts are done. And again, the tail lamp looks exactly like a headlight, which is flipped a bit and stuck there. It exactly looks like the headlamp itself. That's something that we've spent time with the car. That's what the kind of analogy we've come with for the headlamp and tail lamp here. And again, from the rear is where most hatchbacks don't look that great. I think it looks contemporary. It looks quite nice and attractive at the same time. So overall, great marks for the design. I think it is one of the major factors why design is being given a serious thought in the Tata Motors group. Pratap Bose is leading it because design is one of the key factors where you make a car buying decision. But for me, it's the interior, and let's get into the interior. Okay, this is the interior. This is where we've been spending a lot of time. We've driven the car for almost 3,500 kilometers, but this particular car has done 35,000 kilometers. The last 3,500 kilometers has been done by us, and the interior is holding out to be quite well. The plastics and the build quality is really something that we did not expect, because there are still some panel gaps here and there, and the plastic quality is actually quite good to touch and feel, but it didn't feel that robust. But we're surprised the fact that this is an extremely abused car, and it is being also extremely well maintained car, so it has been doing quite well. And there are almost no rattles whatsoever. There's just one rattle here and there, which probably is a foreign object running around this car. But apart from that, there's been no rattles, very serious rattles from the door pads or the plastics coming off or anything like that. Everything has been holding on really well. The steering wheel looks really good. The center console still looks quite modern. It's not a touchscreen unit like the XZ Plus, but you get something which is still looks really good. There's piano black finish running around. The AC is fantastic. Our unit is slightly dimming down, or maybe Bombay weather is just getting hotter and hotter every day. As per today, it's 40 degrees, and despite that fact, it's been doing really well on blower setting 2, which is for me a big deal, because other cars that come for testing, usually we are at blower settings 3 or 4 or even 5, but on this 2 is clearly a very magical number. And in terms of interior, I love the seats. They're really supportive. I am not a average slim guy, and these seats have hold on quite well. We've done multiple Bombay Pune trips in it, and there has been no fatigue whatsoever. These seats hold you really well. They're really comfortable. The headrests are adjustable at the front, not at the rear, which I'll come to later. I like the idea of piano black over there with the chrome door handles, and overall I love grey interiors and with a dash of black, and I love this interior very much for what it is. For a car of this size and segment, I think it's been holding on really well, and it looks really good, and it's definitely to my taste. So definitely this long-term car has impressed me and our colleagues at the same time, who've also appreciated all the things that we've just spoken about. But what is really impressive, and yeah, I love music, and so does everybody else in our team, and this sound system has kept us so well entertained. I just cannot think of another car in this segment having such a amazing sound system. It has one of the best sound qualities in this segment by far. This segment has never seen a sound system which is this good. It's by Harman Kardon, which says a lot because they've been making one of the best systems. It is not a touchscreen, but the buttons work really well. There's no lag. Everything works really well. The thing has broken down. Bluetooth connection is flawless. Aux works really well. Everything you ask for it works really well. There is no lag whatsoever, and overall I think it's better than the touchscreen systems that Tata has internally with the Nexon, which was not that great. But this system, which is a lower spec system, does impressively well and does not remind us of that this car should have had a touchscreen unit. But definitely the XZ Plus variant gets it, and we've been told that it's also good enough, but that's a story for another day. And what is also the third point, which is very, very impressed us, because over these 4 months we've tested multiple cars, segment above and in the same segment, but no car has come close to offering the kind of sound insulation that this car can offer. We've tried with multiple compact sedans and hatches and compact SUVs that have come to us, and they've not been this great on NVH. Sure, there is I'll get to the point where it is really impressive, and there are two parts to NVH. While there is tire noise in the cabin, the engine noise is very well contained for a 3-cylinder thrummy diesel engine that creeps into the cabin, but you can obviously drown that with the great sound system, and as you go above 80-100, the engine noise completely goes away. But if you have sound system on most of the time, which you will barely have any complaints from the engine noise that is creeping into the cabin at any given speed, be it between 180 and 120. There's going to be no problem until unless you're accelerating on a track, which you won't. But this car's NVH levels in that aspect are good, but where it's great is the amount of noise that it cuts out when you're standing at a signal or just going through narrow lanes, when you can hear a lot. We've been traveling in this car in 3 a.m. in the morning and 3 p.m. in the afternoon, and what I can tell you is you cannot hear much of the outside. There's a very loud commercial vehicle with a very loud diesel engine. We could barely hear it inside the cabin, and the overall the two-wheelers that go with slightly louder exhaust and all of those things, it has suppressed them extremely well. I'll tell you the reason why, because these windows here are quite thick for a segment of this size, and they hold on to that NVH level that I'm talking about. Even the doors are quite heavy. It's got that certain level of satisfying third from this car of this segment, and which is quite appreciated. And like I keep on saying, the NVH levels in that aspect. It cuts you out the moment you slam the door. And I think the last time when I said anything like this about a car, it was a very German premium car. So that's the reason why I think Tata is not making that much money, because they've invested a lot to make sure this car does not feel cheap. And overall, as you can see here, I'll just demonstrate you the space also. Again, there's just very good amount of knee room behind me. I am 5'10". There's good headroom here. The rear seats are quite supportive. Under thigh support is decent. Overall, it's a very good car for this segment, and there's no denying that the interior impresses. And this is the place where everybody spends a lot of time, and Tata Motors has done a fantastic job of getting everything right. Let me also show you the cockpit view of this car. Like I said, I really like how the steering is. It's quite small, really well to hold. There's the right amount of contours here to hold it really well. I am not entirely a fan of these dials, but then they don't look that bad also, that it may look cheap. I think fonts could be a little different, but the amount of information that is on offer here is quite good. And so is the storage space. As you can see, you can keep your wallet and your phone here quite easily, and it stays there no matter how enthusiastically you drive. They do not move. These are very small cup holders, but they are not technically cup holders, they are can holders. So they can hold two small cans rather well. Small place for knickknacks, and that is a proper bottle holder, which the side door pads don't get. You can squeeze a small bottle there, but that's about it. As you know, the glove box opens in style. There's quite a lot of space here for your stuff. And overall, this is what the cockpit is like. Let me also show you what is the boot like. The boot is again a highlight of this car. I think that's a good amount of space for this segment. It's around 200, 220, 230 liters, and it can take 2 large bags or 4-5 small bags. And we've never had a complaint when we were 3 or 4 on board with 4 medium sized bags, and they fit here perfectly well for our small trip that we did from Bombay to Pune. Overall, let me now get to the driving impressions. There are two things that I don't like about this cabin as well, because there is no one touch down windows here. It's only for the down part, it's not for the up part, which is kind of disappointing. But also what I don't like are these air vents. They do not close. So if all of these, 1 and 2 of these would close, the amount of air that would come from here would be higher, but there's no way I can entirely shut them, and I can just get them from here to here and not shut them entirely. But in slightly segment above cars, and some cars in this segment as well have that feature where you can shut off the vents, so you can concentrate the entire wind coming from this particular vent, which is favorable for the driver. But I think the Tiago misses out on that. If Tata could incorporate that anytime soon, that would be really helpful in summers, where if you're driving alone and you need the AC all to yourself, you may end up saving a blower setting by 1, and you can save fuel at the same time. It's a very long process that we've thought about, because we spent a lot of time with this car, and if Tata can do that, that will be really great. Apart from that, yet again, big thumbs up in terms of interior. So what's it like to drive? Well, again, this is a part which is very critical for every driving enthusiast, and this is where Tata Tiago has been excelling since day one. When we road tested the car a couple of times, in those 3 times of 3 different fuels that we tested, petrol, automatic, petrol, manual and diesel manual, we were very impressed with the kind of dynamic setup that this car has. It's riding on 14-inch wheels, but it feels extremely compliant. Usually these segment cars have 13-inch wheels, but this has 14-inch wheels, and the ride quality is just excellent. It just goes over bad stretches of road, takes potholes quite well. Obviously bigger thirds come to the cabin, but small to medium bumps, even just going off the road a little bit, which we've done quite a lot, and this car has also done quite a lot in its past. The ride quality is just exceptional. When the car came to us initially, there was some problem with the tire and there was a bit of wobbling, and we immediately got a new set of tires for our car, and running in those tires was also quite simple. And post that, the grip increased by a big margin, and cornering this car is also a hoot because it feels so nimble, so agile, and so tight. The steering ratio is also quite short. For we would have preferred a lock to lock ratio quite a little more less, let's say 2.5, but it's around 3. So in that area Tata could improve, but overall we love the small steering size, and it helps us, get a lot of feedback from the front, and the feedback in fact from the steering itself is quite high. The precision is very good. It's light in the city and gets decently well weighted on the highway, and the overall the confidence from the steering is extremely high, something this segment does not get very easily. This segment of cars do not get steerings which are this good, and brakes have been also quite good. The pedal bite is slightly spongy, but post that there is a lot of braking power, and it comes linearly and progressively, so you feel confident from braking at any speed, which we experienced time and again. The car does not lose its composure much, and it's a very solid car. The stability on this car is just exceptional. We were on the expressway doing 100 120, which we can, and this car allows us to do so, and it feels so planted and quiet inside in the cabin for a small car. Yet again, it feels what I'm getting to here is that in every aspect this car feels over engineered, which is a great feat for small car buyers because they always look forward to such certain things. Driving in the city, like I said, the steering is light in the city. The clutch is also light enough. It's a little our car here has a little let's say a clutch which is not that great. It's a little juddery, but the other cars that we tested earlier did not have any problems. I think this car has been gone through a lot, so that's the reason why. And like I said, pedal bite is great. There is enough progression and linearity from the brakes when you really stomp on it. And what is also very impressive, and again segment first by a big margin, are the eco and city modes that you get. The moment you press the eco mode, the engine gets immediately feels more torquey, and despite the engine here is the 1.05 liter 3-cylinder engine making around 70 PS of power and 150 Newton meters of torque, and it has exceptionally tall gearing. But in eco mode you don't feel the tall gearing that much. In fact, when you're in city mode you can actually feel the amount of tallness from the gearing, so you may end up downshifting a lot in city mode, but in eco mode you can actually get away because it feels slightly more torquier in the low end of the rev range. It gets you power more urgently, but in eco mode you don't get the kind of extra punchy mid-range that you get in the city mode, which you need on the highway. So if you're just cruising along or are stuck in city traffic, just use the eco mode. But you're on the highway and you want to overtake a little bit, we suggest you disengage the eco mode and use the default city mode, and reap the benefits of the mileage. We've been getting not more than 16-17 kilometers to the liter. That has been the highest. The lowest has been 13 kilometers to the liter, where we've had a very fast highway run and extremely dense city traffic that we were stuck in for quite some time over the week. And when we filled up, we found that it's been giving us around 12.8, something like that, over in the city, and on the highway it can give you 18 to 19 at tops with sane driving, and I think that's a good number. And overall, the ride quality is great, the dynamics are really good, the steering is impressive, it's got segment first drive modes. So that is it, guys. That is our long-term review of the Tata Tiago diesel with a manual gearbox. We'll spend 4 months with it, almost 4,000 kilometers. We'll be spending a little more time with this car before we send it away. So our final thoughts will be on our website in the final report of the of this rather very well made, over engineered, extremely good looking, well put together car, which is so much value for money. Every variant is spot on, priced really well, equipped really well. There's safety features on offer. There's a diesel engine, there's a petrol engine. Sure, the diesel engine advantage Tata is going to lose next year, but I'm sure there is more to than that, because they've been already saying that petrol variants do majority of the sales, so it's not possible for them to keep the diesel motor alive. But like I said, everything else is spot on, and a couple of weeks later we'll send it off, and that won't be the best memory that we will have of sending this car back to Tata. But then we've had our fair and share with this car. It's been extremely supportive, it has helped us, we've taken trips, we've done a lot of things with this car, and we'll have rather good memories of that. So thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned to our channel. We do videos in Hindi and English. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.